my goodness! Holy sh!
Hey folks, for today's video we're doing something a little bit different. To start out with, I'm in my 93 Ford van going to pick up a, I don't know which, there's two trucks I'm after. I bought the one already and the people told me to go ahead and get the other one out of there until they get the title straightened out so it doesn't end up getting crushed. They don't own the land where it's sitting and they moved. One of them, the one that I have bought, is like an 87 F250 with a 460 and a C6 automatic, 4-wheel drive. It's been sitting like 7 years, so I don't know if I'll do a revival on that or not. People sure seem to be crazy about revivals. But I do have plans for that truck, which could take years to come to fruition. Yep, big word there, fruition. Anyway, the other one is a 2-wheel drive, like early 80s. No engine, no transmission, but it is an extremely solid truck for being here in the Rust Belt. I guess apparently it came from South Carolina years ago. I don't know what I'll do with that one, but it's too nice to just let get crushed. But anyway, after that I'm going to go to my friend Kelly's place. Well, friend being a generous assumption, I guess. I tell people I don't have friends. I just know people that tolerate me more so than others. Anyway, we're going to go to Kelly's and look at some of the weird, odd stuff that he has. And then we'll also pick up the video tomorrow. We're going to go to another guy's house, Brian Rowland. He's got some odd, unusual vehicles. And the one that really tops this off, the one that gave me this idea, is just an awesome old vintage motorcycle. Man, I don't know if you can pick it up on this camera, but I'm sweating my ass off in this van. It's rusty and it sucks dust going down gravel. So when I'm on gravel, I have to roll all the windows up and turn the blower on to keep the van kind of pressurized. And it's not overly hot today, but it's humid. It's hot enough that I am just, the sweat's just running down me. The pavement's coming up here. I'll be able to roll down the windows and get a little refreshment. But anyway, we'll pick up with you later. So much better. So I ended up picking up the white 2-wheel drive because it was easier to get to. See it back there. He also had some other stuff there I'm interested in. A 6-wheeler. Always wanted one of those since when I was a kid. It needs an engine. I think we kind of came to an agreement on the price on it. And he's got a little Yamaha dirt bike. My daughter was talking about how she wanted to learn how to ride a motorcycle, so I told her I'd look for a little motorcycle for her to learn on. I think that'd be a pretty good one. Unfortunately, it's not street legal, so I don't know if that's going to take it off her radar or not. And he also had a little go-kart. Full suspension go-kart, a hammerhead, liquid cooled. That looked like a pretty neat little rig in its day, but the sitting outside is kind of ratty looking, but it's still, I don't know. I know someone that might be interested in that. But anyway, on my way to Kelly's now to check out his toys. Very clean truck for being in the Rust Belt. Definitely worth rescuing from the crusher. Even though I was told it had a 6-cylinder in it, there's an awful lot of 460 parts in the bed. Got some naughty little wasps in there. This is Kelly Cat. You might remember him from, what was that swap meet? Lawrence, that's right. And he collects wooden steering wheels. Kelly's one of those weird Dodge guys, but he actually dabbles in about anything.
This is a 55 Coronet that I purchased on a farm auction, actually, over by Attica, Iowa. The motor that was in it was locked up. It had a later model 400 in it. And
And as I recall, you told me you practically stole this at the auction.
I gave $1,500 for this car. And it's got a 68 383 in it now. It should run pretty decent when I get it done. But
Looks pretty.
yeah, pretty dusty and dirty.
I thought you were going to put air conditioning on this.
No.
Because didn't it have some of the components for it?
No.
I could have swore it had a condenser on it or something. Or am I thinking of something else?
No.
Mallory, that's something you don't see very often.
No.
Those on the car.
No.
Automatic transmission.
727.
Let's see.
Kevin Justice built 727.
You had to do a little custom fabbing there on the header.
Yeah.
Put a little notch in it. You'll have that once in a while.
But
And you was having trouble getting the power steering pump to fit too, aren't you?
yeah. I'm still trying to get the right belt for it. I might have to add in an idler like what I've done with the alternator to make that right.
So why the idler?
Well, these are made to have, well, I don't have the right bracketry, but they usually have an idler up here to keep it away from the pulleys and such. You can't just run a belt from the crank pulley over and nothing lines up with the water pump with the power steering. So they usually put an AC pump up here, which I don't have. So I made an idler fit so I could adjust my alternator belt.
Okay. Now is this power steering pump going to be adjustable?
Yes. Yep.
How so? I'm not seeing it. Oh, right there. All right. Not very much movement, but there is some there.
Much.
Man, that's close to the radiator.
Mm-hmm.
You foresee that being a problem?
No.
Not much flexing.
No. No.
It's a weird power steering box.
Yep.
Have you driven this at all yet?
No. I got to finish up the wiring on it. I've redone all the brakes, the fuel system. Got a new. Actually found a brand new gas tank for it.
Huh. Bet that was kind of hard.
No,
Or
actually,
no?
there's a website you can buy all kinds of parts.
Really?
from.
I would have thought this was oddball enough that
But I've got the dash all tore out of it.
you say you redid the brakes. There's still drums then?
No, it's disc on the front, non-powered disc.
Then did you do that or was that already that way?
It was already that way, but trying to find the right parts to fit to replace everything that was there because it was all shot.
So you didn't know what it was?
Yeah, and the fine people at Napa and Osceola helped me out tremendously finding the right brake stuff, the rotors and everything.
So what's the goal with this car?
Just a cruiser.
Cruiser. The funky steering wheel.
Oh yeah. Yeah, gonna keep that.
Fancy wiring. Any timeline you're wanting to have it done by?
I wanted to have it done by good guys this year.
Oh, I think you missed that goal.
Missed that goal. So maybe there's next year.
And Jesus rocks, apparently.
Yes. Yes.
Now, was the paint like this when you got it?
Yes.
Or is it just...
This had been all fixed up at
I don't
one
remember it
time.
being quite like that, but I think when last I saw it, it was up on the air in jack stand, so maybe I didn't see that.
It needs little things. Yeah, and I need to get the doors adjusted better so they open and close better.
You're going to run the chrome wheels, just like they are?
I haven't really decided yet. I've got a set of C-body rally wheels that I bought. I think they might look kind of nice on it.
I don't know what a C-body is.
Oh, big car, New Yorker.
Okay. I'm a Ford guy, so...
These chrome reverses, though, I don't know. They look okay.
You can do better.
Yeah, it could be better.
Is that The way that fender is cut there, is that factory or somebody done that?
At the back?
Yeah, the way it angles down there in a straight line.
It
It just does not look right on the car for some reason.
I haven't paid enough attention to other ones to know. But you just don't see these around.
Exactly.
I mean, this isn't great by any means, but
Are they typically 4 doors too as well?
they made a lot of 4 doors. It's just kind of neat.
And what year did you say it was?
A 55.
55. It's like the tint in the back window is that. I suppose they had to overlap it because of the curve in the glass.
I'd like to get rid of that, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. Tint in the back window sucks.
Yeah. I've got to find a passenger side door window. I don't think that'll be any big trick because it's flat glass.
Hey Aaron, if you're watching, there's still a Suburban sitting down there and you can't have it. And apparently you collect bread trucks too.
Yeah.
This is his swap meet creeper van, and he got that one a couple years ago. He hasn't done anything with it yet.
1970 GMC. It's my swap meet rig. It's got some beds inside and storage for parts.
And disco ball, and
Yeah.
stripper pole,
No stripper pole, but we do have a disco ball.
and $1,000 worth of new tires just today.
Yeah.
Mud tires even.
Yeah.
Was this the truck you've been working on?
This is actually my wife's truck. This is a 1-year-only truck, 57 is, and it's mainly just the front clip. So
The front clip that's different for the 57.
yeah.
So what is it that's different about it?
The whole front header, and it's the first, I believe it's the first year of first year of a one-piece hood.
One piece, like earlier ones, what they flipped up from the side? I figured they stopped that back in the 30s.
This has Toyota power steering. It's got disc brakes on the front.
Now these are Dodge brakes, weren't they?
Nope. GM brake calipers and Scarebird brackets.
Okay. For some reason I thought you'd found a way to use Dodge brakes on it, and I was thinking, because wasn't she pretty insistent that it was only supposed to have Dodge parts on it?
Yeah, until she figured out the price.
Yeah.
That it's kind of expensive to switch something over to Dodge brakes. But it's got an 8 3/4 in the back with a posi and disc brakes on the end.
Where'd you get that?
Oh God, I can't remember. Some weird guy.
Kind of odd place for a fuel cell in the seat.
Yeah, yeah. I've been tasked with building a box back here to house it.
Oh, like an old vintage.
Yeah, yeah. So, but this has a late model 318 roller motor in it with a little cam, and it's got 340X heads on it. But
These are the wheels you're going to use?
yep,
They look okay on it.
that's my plan.
Seems like it needs something a little bigger in the back, but that's just me, I guess.
But it's got, later model steering columns, and it ought to be fun little truck to cruise around in.
You're going to cover up the gas tank hole?
Probably.
It's okay if I open the door?
Oh yeah.
Now what's the column out of?
The column is out of a, I believe a 75 or 6 Dodge pickup I had.
Now was this, did you do any repair work on this cab, or was it the solid
No,
when you got it?
It was just like this. Just like this. Then of course we've got the Buffalo Sweat shift handle.
Okay, what exactly is that, or was it? Is that a beer
Yeah.
bar?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it
Is
was-
that supposed to be the brand name of a beer or something?
Yep. It's craft beer from down in Kansas.
No.
Found that at a swap meet.
The hell you say?
Yeah.
You go to swap meets too?
Once in a while. Once in a while.
There's the Toyota power steering.
Yeah.
Looked like that was pretty simple to do, just
Yeah.
welding the plate. Now, does the tire get into anything on full lock?
Nope.
I suppose you have it had a bigger tire, it probably would.
Yeah. Getting hoses to go from the Chrysler pump to the Toyota was kind of challenging, but Got that all figured out. Done.
Does it currently run?
No. Haven't even tried to fire it yet. So. More toys.
I understand. I'm juggling too many as well. What's next?
42 Ford. It's got the T-bucket front axle.
All the other stuff you've made more modern, but this one's going old school.
Kinda, yeah. It's gonna have disc brakes all the way around and everything.
That takes GM calipers, I assume.
Yes. It'll have manual steering though. This has a 351 Windsor and a 5-speed and an 8.8 in the back of it.
I see you got rack and pinion on there.
Well, that was a failed attempt at rack and pinion.
Is that stock car rack?
No, that's a Mustang 2 rack.
Okay.
To make it work, it would have to be mounted in front of the axle.
That's what I was going to ask. I thought those were mounted up front.
Yeah. I do have a rack and pinion out of I believe it's an Omni that's power that mounts in the rear. I could go that route.
Okay.
But I think I'm just going to go with a Corvair box and do it that way.
Run a drag link of some sort?
Yeah.
Well, I suppose you'd put the box right about here or so.
Yeah, it'll probably sit on top of the frame about right here. And it's another, I collect a few pieces and then do a little bit of it.
I understand. I'm in that same boat.
But it's got ladder bar rear and it's going to have coilovers on the back.
Now, was this that bed you didn't know what it was for?
Right.
Okay, so anybody out there might know what this thing is.
Yeah.
Not that it matters. He's going to use it anyway. Just be kind of neat to know what it was off of originally.
Yeah. But it's a long way on this one, so.
Aren't they always?
I would like to be able to get this back in the shop this winter and have the box and cab off of it. Do a bunch more chassis work. I've changed my mind on my rear suspension, how I'm going to do it. And I'm glad I just have everything tacked together and not, permanent.
Now that's that Explorer 8.8 that
Right.
you got for me, isn't it?
Yeah.
See here, he's got these coil springs on a cross member there.
I'm going to do away with those coil springs. It's just going to have straight coilovers on it.
Are they still going to come up through the bed?
Yes.
I guess they have to. Yeah, your frame's already.
Yeah. And
I'm not getting in there very well, am I?
instead of the link I've got on there, I'm going to put a Watts link on it.
Yeah. How are you going to mount that?
It'll be mounted. Well, I haven't quite decided yet, but
I think unlike Grand Marquis and Town Cars and Crown Vics, the Watts link is actually mounted right here on the differential somewhere.
yeah, I'm going to have it on the front side instead of the rear side of the differential. That way I can still access. This old thing's pretty rough, but I'm not going to take it to the fair by any means.
Did you ever decide what you're going to do for a grill?
I think I'm going to, well, I bought that fiberglass 32 grill, and I'm going to use it for mocking stuff up. I want to make the grill and hood flip forward.
Oh,
And then once I've got that all,
probably have to make some sort of tube structure for that to work on. Yeah.
yeah, just some light rectangle tubing or box tubing of some sort. Then once I get it all figured out the way I want it, I'll buy a steel grill, put steel in it. So.
Wheels? What are you going to run for wheels? Any idea?
Well, not really. I do think I am going to cut that hood. That way I've got some sides to it, because this will have to live outside. And that way the engine won't be quite as exposed.
Yeah, these are, what years did these run? 41 to 46?
Yeah.
I think they're called a jail bar grill.
Yes.
And they're just, to me, they're just hideously ugly.
They are.
Awful ugly.
They are.
That's why he's kind of having a dilemma with the grill.
Yeah. I don't really want to use any of the grill pieces that I do have, but I think it'll look decent enough with that 32 grill.
And here's something interesting in the back of his cab. Ray Smith, 67. That's my uncle.
Yep.
We believe anyway. That's the only thing that makes sense because the truck's been around here all its life.
And he did own it at one time. He sold it to the gentleman I got it from.
Ah. Okay, for the Chevy people, I'm sure they want to know about this thing.
This is a 79 El Camino. It's sitting on a 73 3/4 ton Chevy chassis that when I got it, the fella that had the 73 had shortened it up to where the rear axle was basically right at the back of the cab, and he was going to make a trail rig out of
I
it.
mean, it was a truck. You're talking about the truck chassis.
It had been a long box truck chassis.
Because I know, yeah, you put the body on this chassis.
Yeah. Body on the chassis. I actually had to lengthen it back out to make everything work, of course. It's just 4-inch lift. Used to mud race it a little bit.
Over to Lamoni and
Yeah.
until they got all pissy about their rules.
Yeah. But it's got a 388 stroker motor in it.
Can we see it?
350. It's nothing special under the hood. It's kind of ugly, actually. I took the carburetor off of it because I didn't want to leave that much money outside. But it's just, it is what it is. It was just a throw together thing.
Now, you told me for the floor of this thing, you used the cab floor out of the truck, right?
Part of it. For the most part, it's a custom floor. The hump itself came out of a pickup.
You still got that footage when you did the mud bog over to, what was that, Lineville?
Mercer. Maybe. Yeah,
Oh, good. You got a rag in there.
Yeah. But it runs pretty good. I can't complain.
You ought to take this wheeling with us. You're not doing anything else with it.
That's very true.
We're going in a couple of weeks.
Well, the way this thing uses fuel, though, it's not really meant to idle too much.
What's the gearing?
It's 410s.
It's open, welded?
Front's open, rear's welded.
38s, 36s?
36s.
When was the last time you had it running?
Oh, a year and a half ago?
Really?
Yeah. But I mean, the class that we built this for, you had to have a full interior in it, which meant door panels and dash and everything. So then we get down there to run it, and everybody's got stripped interiors, no dash, aluminum for a flatbed.
But they thought that was terrible that you had a different body swapped onto a truck chassis.
Yeah, they didn't consider this a pickup, so they didn't really want me to run it. So, but it is what it is. A lot of fun.
That's why you ought to go wheeling with us.
Yeah.
You don't have to idle around. You can. There's plenty of mud there. We can watch you do your thing.
This was built in 2.5 weeks. We tore the two apart and put them back together as this.
I can't even fathom that. Seems like my projects take years.
Well, I had a lot of help.
You must have been really motivated.
Well, I had a lot of help. My nephew was tremendous help building this.
Sean?
Yeah. He helped me out so much I consider it half his anyway.
Okay, then you can both come wheeling with us. We don't care who drives.
I mean, The El Camino is extremely rusty.
Is that why you had to do the custom stuff to the floor?
Yeah, we just cut all the floor out and set it down on top of the chassis and got it to where it looked halfway decent, where you couldn't see a lot of the frame.
You see, you got the fuel cell sunk down into the bed. That's kind of neat.
On these El Caminos, that was a compartment. You could actually flip the seat forward, and there was a compartment behind the seats under the bed.
Because didn't these use a station wagon chassis, the El Caminos, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah. So we had to cut all that rot out of it anyway, so we just dropped a fuel cell in. So
That's what I'm thinking about doing with my 57 Ranchero, except I'll put it clear back here. There's so much room between the bed floor and the frame. I don't know if I'll just sink it clear down below the floor and make a hatch that opens up. Or...
Well, part of the reason why that is up there was because I'm cheap, and we tried to do this on the cheap, and that's a lot less hose.
Hose? Where's the hose? Boats and hose?
Boats and hose.
So I think you told me you were going to think about selling this at one point. Is that still a thought?
Yes.
Now, title? Did you?
Yeah, I've
you got that straightened out, didn't you?
I've got the title for both rigs. I've never licensed it. If somebody wanted to license it, they would have to finish the wiring for like the brake lights and turn signals. That's not wired in yet.
It's not a big deal.
But it's got wipers and headlights. We kept that stuff. So.
Any idea of price you'd want out of it?
I
probably not trying to put you on the spot here. Just
somewhere around $4,000.
That seems reasonable for what all you're getting here.
You know.
So there you go, folks. Anybody wants it, let me know. I might get a free candy bar out of this.
Yeah.
Maybe a Chico stick even. I saw some at BP last night when I got gas in the motorcycle.
King size, didn't I?
Candy bar.
Gotta be the king size.
Still got them Planetary axles sitting there.
Oh yeah.
These used to be mine. I guess they're not even yours, are they? They're just storing them?
Yeah, I'm just storing them here.
I had 4 of these. They're Vermeer trencher axles with planetary ends on them. If you've been watching my channel, you know I like playing with 4-wheel drives, and yeah, I was going to make a buggy out of them, but they were just too damn narrow. So I traded these 2 for a set of 1-ton axles out of a Ford truck, and the guy that owns them is storing them here for some reason.
Well, he had to get them out of where they were, so they got brought here.
I think the gearing in these, the final gear ratio is like, if I remember right on the tag, it's like damn near 30 to 1. It's like 28 point something turns of the pinion to make 1 turn of the wheel. Have internal hydraulic brakes right there. Pretty neat units. They're just, yeah, too damn narrow for what I wanted to do. The other 2 I sold to a guy. He said he was going to make an off-road forklift out of them. So if anybody's got a use for these, they are for sale too, aren't they?
Oh,
Does he still want to get rid of them?
Yeah. I have no idea what he'd want out of them.
And then there were some rims here, aren't there?
Yep.
Yeah, these rims have the proper bolt pattern because he got these from me as well. You'd probably just cut the center out of those and put them into a tractor wheel or something. Because with the low gearing these things have, you'd need a tall tire to get any kind of ground speed out of them. Yeah. If you're going to make, yeah, a play toy out of them.
That's pretty much anything that's interesting. Everything else is just pretty much parts.
Short he is.
You're just holding the phone up too high.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we're going to pick this video up tomorrow. Me and Kelly, we're going to meet up. We're going to go over to Brian Rowland's over in Sheraton. He's got some neat stuff there. And yeah, the what's the word I'm looking for here?
He's probably got the cool stuff.
The motorcycle he's got. It's an old vintage, I don't remember what it was, some sort of an old British bike. It's an old vintage hill climber, and it's got 2 engines on it, and it is just crazy cool.
Yeah, I gotta see that.
Yeah.
That's gotta be neat.
But yeah, he's got some other stuff besides that, but that'll be our finishing touch. But we'll check in with you then.
You know, you try to raise your kids right, bring them up, you know, put them in a good environment. And you know, like me personally, I've surrounded my daughter with rusty old shitbox Fords all her life. and she gets old enough and wants to get a vehicle, and what happens? Well, this is what happens. She has a shiny newish Dodge. Where did I go wrong? Was it me as a parent, or is it just, you know, that women want shiny fancy things? But yeah, setting all that aside, I've got to do a little bit of hackery on it myself already. I think she had it for 2 days, and she had a tire going low, and she needed it fixed that night. Now this has factory locking lug nuts on it, and they spent like 45 minutes trying to find it and couldn't come up with one. So I told her the only thing I could do was to weld that nut on there. And it worked brilliantly, but I think like 2 days later she had another leak on one of our other tires, and she was in town trying to get a tire shop to fix it. And the guy at the tire shop saw what I did there, and he actually had the nerve to talk shit about what I did, but yet he couldn't get any of the other tires off by trying to pound a socket onto it. And my solution, at least, is permanent. It may not be aesthetically pleasing, but it will do. One of these days I'm in the junkyard, I'll try to find another set of lug nuts for this to get rid of it. But yeah, I'll have to do that with the other three as well, or find the key for them or whatever. But she decides she doesn't want the key. She just wants a couple other normal lug nuts on it, so we're going to go that route. But anyway, it's the next day, waiting for Kelly to show up, and we'll head on over to Brian's and check out his treasures. Well, here we are. We made it to our second stop. It's the next day, obviously. This is Brian. Thanks for having us.
Yes.
Let's see, I'll turn the camera. Got a whole row of vehicles, almost like he brought them out just for us.
It is show-off mode.
Next day. But let's go ahead and go on down the road and tell us about them.
All right. This is stock axles. I think they're 538 ring and pinions.
Toyota, in case people haven't figured it out.
Right. Has a doubler in it, and the stock 5-speed. Racing seat.
Now you've had this about a year, couple years now?
Just the little 22R.
Yeah.
It's got a little better camshaft in it, and a 6A box, and then it's got that little Holly on there. When I got it, it was propane.
And I got that stuff now.
Yeah, and I gave it to him.
Didn't like the propane?
Never tried it.
Oh.
Didn't want to get somewhere and run out.
Okay.
To tell you the truth. I put this big 1,000-amp battery in it because I put this winch on top of it.
Super winch.
Yep. 9,500.
Looks like you haven't had to use it yet.
It's been in my car trailer up until now.
Yeah.
Dragging up dead junk, you know. Runs real good, quiet as a mouse. Does a good job. Doesn't like being laid on its side. Wants to die.
Before this, you had some custom-made buggies?
Yes. Yeah, I had 4 of my own, and I think I've been involved in making 11 of them. So we kind of, time we got down the last few, which mine was one of the last one, the one that Steve Burke's got now, we kind of got it figured out.
Yeah.
Well, we had a pretty good little car. And he's still playing with it to this day.
Yeah, they were putting buggies together out of just stuff that was laying around, and those things would perform.
There's a picture of a couple of them in here. We started out with 2-wheel drive, just for kicks, because I got down in Oklahoma on a 4-wheeler and all but broke my neck. I told the guys, I'll keep coming, but I'm going to get in a roll cage. So there's a picture of one.
That's back when they were 2-wheel drive, right?
2-wheel drive.
That was the sand dunes in Oklahoma?
Yeah, and Little Sahara. And here's what we built.
Yeah, I remember when you guys showed up over there when we wheel with these 2-wheel drives. I figured they're having enough fun here. They'll be back with some 4-wheel drive buggies.
And we did.
And it was true.
Yeah, we did. Those things were a lot of fun. And real cheap to build. Just old Chevy pickups, cut into a million pieces and welded back together.
Yep.
Nothing
I can dig it.
Yep.
Just
Real
building
cheap.
stuff out of what you got laying around.
Yep. Yep. This next car,
I was wondering if you still had this one because I didn't see it when I was here last time.
I really like Volkswagen. I know I'm weird, and I've never had a Karmann Ghia. And I decided if I ever found one that was fit, I'd buy it. And this one was brought up here from Arizona in '05 and never moved. Sat in a machine shed for quite a while and then got put out in a concrete driveway and sat a few more years. So I got it a couple of years ago, and of course the mice had just destroyed it. But
Yeah.
a fella up in Reason redid the insides. I put drop spindles on it and lowered the back and fixed the engine and new gas tank, all that sort of stuff like
They
you
actually
got to.
make drop spindles for these?
Oh,
I
they
think
make-
these would be rare enough that that'd be...
Evidently, there's quite a cult following of these out west. The kids, the young guys, really dig them.
Huh.
So they make most everything for them. So it's still got the little 1600 dual port. This was the last year, and it's the only one that was made with no back seat. Up until then, they started in 57, and in 73 they had a back seat. But the government came down on them about not having shoulder harnesses in these things, and they couldn't figure out how to get a shoulder harness in it and still have a back seat and get by. So they just did away with the back seat.
Now, did you redo the interior?
Yep.
'Cause, yeah, you said the mice
Mice destroyed it, so it's all
Wrecked it.
tweed now.
tweed. That's a fun word.
Yeah, it is. But see, there's no seat, and a lot of storage now.
Yeah.
And then that goes clear back to the engine. So you can carry most anything you want. I put a new dash in it, all that stuff, bought all new vinyl for it.
I don't know why that thing keeps drawing my eye. Is that factory?
Yeah, that's the e-brake with the two vent handles for the heater.
Well, I meant the kind of cover there. It looks like some sort of pseudo snake looking
It does,
thing.
doesn't it? Yeah, but yeah, that's factory Volkswagen.
I thought maybe that was some custom thing that somebody put in there, just because it looks has like a snakeskin texture to it.
The only thing in it's not Volkswagen. He didn't like the Volkswagen armrest. These are for 55 Chevy. He liked them better. They're a little smoother looking. But it's just a hoot. It has 64 horsepower, but with the engine in the back, it's like a go-kart.
Did try any autocross with it?
No, but it's too slow. You know, a Miata or
No.
something would be a little more fun.
Doesn't matter. You
Yeah,
go
I
out there
know.
for fun.
Yeah, but it's real flat corner and just a lot of fun to drive through a park at twice the speed limit. You know, it's really a hoot. I put those little tiny front tires on. Those are 125s. I think that's the smallest 15-inch tire you can buy.
Wow.
That's factory 165. And then those are Porsche chrome, you know, new wheels that are for a
Is
Porsche.
this about the only rust it's got on it? Or
Both
in the
doors
door?
rusted.
But the rest of it's pretty solid?
Yeah, and the only reason it did that, it's got a gauze-like stuff on the inside of the doors for noise. And when it's set in the rain, that got wet. And it rusted the bottoms of the doors on the inside. So I got to fix it. But it's a one-piece body. All it is hood, trunk, and two doors. Everything else is one solid chunk. So in the day when everybody had one, if you wiped the front end out good and hard, it totals the car. You couldn't buy a fender for it. They didn't make a fender for it.
Yeah, you'd have to
You
cut
could
it
buy-
out.
Yeah, you could buy a hood, and you could buy a door and a trunk, but you couldn't buy anything else.
And I suppose wiping it out would probably spring the rest of the body too, I would think.
So they sent raw Volkswagen chassis from Germany over to Italy, and a designer named Karmann came up with it, and it was built in the Ghia factory in Italy. Ghia made a lot of little cars, hence the name. It's a Karmann Ghia Volkswagen. Designed by Karmann and built in the Ghia factory.
Okay.
And it's just a sweetie. We were running on the poker run yesterday, and it used just a little over 2 gallons of gas.
How far?
Oh, I don't know, 60 or 70 miles.
Plan on doing anything with the paint?
Yes, it's got water base on it, and it's all falling off. So there's a soda blaster over by Oskaloosa on Highway 92, just this side of town, out on the highway. And for about $500, he'll take all that old off, and he can do it so gently that he can take it just down to the primer if I want him to. He does mainly houses and stuff. He goes into these old castles that had pillars and stuff. He can strip layers off, or he can go in a house and expose the wood if he wants.
Expose the wood.
I did say that. But he can take it down to the varnish, or take it all the way down to where the varnish is gone, just by turning it up and down. And he can be real gentle with a car like this and not hurt it.
$500 seems like a pretty good deal.
Well, that's
for-
a lot of hand sanding there.
Yeah.
A curvy car like this, that's a whole lot of, that's not DA work, that's hand sanding.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's well worth it to take it over to him for about 3 hours and then get it back and it's ready to go.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't even see Volkswagen bugs around here hardly,
I
let
know,
alone these.
They're all gone. But I've had lots of Beetles and lots of little, tube frame rail buggies.
Yeah.
The little Chenoweth style buggies.
I remember a few years ago you had a
Yeah.
lowered Volkswagen bug that was...
Yeah, I had a couple at one time, 64 and a 65 at the same time. I'd never had one of these, and I always liked the body style. To me, it was almost a Porsche.
Oh, paint's even worse on this side.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's wanting to come off.
Yeah.
It's trying to come off. And
So
when I
you
got
didn't
it,
you didn't do that. That's
No.
it just on its own.
That's
Yeah,
the
it almost
pressure
looked
wash.
like it's been sanded or something
when
there.
I got it, it only had a couple of small spots poking through, and washing it has made it fall off.
Yeah, I think when I saw this last summer, I think it wasn't like this. It just had a couple spots.
So I'll get her all pressure washed off of there, and we'll go down and put epoxy primer on it and come back up. That's called Sumatra Green, and I like it. And I think I'll mask it off, because you just got to mask it right across here and paint the top white just to class it up a little bit.
Yeah.
This is a 1929 Cadillac LaSalle limousine.
Limousine.
This was a full four-door crank-up window between the seats limo.
Was.
It even had another window on the side, and if you look inside, you can see the metalwork in there from it. They cut the front doors clear off. Of course, this car was made out of wood. So they unbolted the firewall and the windshield, brought that all back, put the back doors latches up on the front of the cowl. So it's got suicide doors on it, and that's the way it came, because these were the back doors.
So you've bought it pretty much just the way it is?
Yeah, it would run, but I had to go trailer it home.
Okay.
But that's because that's all it would do.
Are these what you call bomber seats?
They are. Little 10-gallon fuel cell.
Yeah, that's.
And what does he have?
There's not really much else to place to put that.
No, because there's all suspension underneath.
Yeah.
It's got Carrera.
He's got a wooden steering wheel too.
You know, and I had a more modern one on it, but it wasn't period right. It looked wrong on there.
He makes fun of me.
Metal flake dash.
I love it.
Swap meets that are in good
Yeah,
shape.
we give him the old water boy. I got a wooden steering wheel.
But the carburetor, see, on one of those two screws, they're on the
Yeah, they look right on
They
this.
do. The
Yeah.
tunnel ram, the big velocity stacks with the big cannon, stuck up the roof and all that. Cool, but it didn't look right.
Yeah.
And those look right.
Yeah, those look right on this.
It actually had a cross ram on it for a while, and it wasn't high enough. I thought I'd better have a little more height.
So what is the engine?
It's a 408, which is a 400 Chevy 40 over, makes it 408, with Dark Pro 1 heads and a big roller cam. It's way too much for the street. And a friend of mine warned me when I bought it, because it wasn't near this wild when I bought it. And he said, you got to be careful. He said, there's a line there when you go from being a hot rod to a race car. And he said, once you cross it, you won't be happy. Well, he's right. Now it's a pain in the butt. You
Yeah.
got to mix fuel for it, and it's hard on gas.
He said hard on.
We got to watch it.
Every second.
Got
Yeah,
little
what up?
39 Ford taillights on it. I did a lot of it.
I love the spoked wheels on the front too.
You don't
Those
see
just
those
look
much.
right.
Well, they're spindle mount
mounts.
wheels with with brakes on them.
Yeah.
The company called Raider makes them.
Oh, the
So that you buy the whole brake system when you buy the wheel. You buy this whole kit. And it's
looks
held
almost
in
like a
with Allen.
motorcycle rotor.
That's pretty much what it is a motorcycle wheel. These are actually Triumph BSA front tires. That's why they're white walled on both sides. I found a company that made them out of a harder compound so they would stand the weight from this car. And they weren't good because before it had motorcycle tires on it and they wore right out.
Yeah,
Way too
running on the center all the time.
Yeah, it just wore them clear out. But it's got a double tube chassis.
Yeah, I was looking at that too. They've done a nice job.
It's obviously a speed shop built chassis. I didn't do it. So it's very strong and very light, and dig the motor mount setup on it.
That's cool.
I don't know where that kit came from. It's real racy looking.
Yeah,
Could be something they came up with at the shop. With the chassis.
Could be.
and it's still got some flex to it, I assume, with the bushing in it.
Yeah, it had solid mounts on it when I got it, and I couldn't stand to ride it. It was just noisier than the dickens, and you felt everything clear up through the steering wheel. So I put all three, those red nylon ones on it, on the trans and everything. It's got a 400 turbo that's full manual. So you got to shift it up and down. When you come to a stop sign, you got to go back to low gear.
Oh, you have to.
You
There's
have
no
to,
other option.
or it'll take off in third.
Steering box, is that?
That's Corvair,
Corvair.
reversed Corvair. So it's got traditional steering on it instead of having a Mustang box. and mount it up front with a U-joint.
Yep. That's what I got.
But it's done right. They've got a rear steer on it instead of a front steer. My Jeep had a front steer where the drag link was in the front, and they don't work as well. My Jeep was done old school, and when you get a little bit slop, the wheels want to death wobble. With this in the back, as the wheels push back, it tightens everything up.
Yeah, they keep tension on it.
Yeah, it keeps pulling it tighter, so at 100 miles an hour, it don't care. It just goes. Got the old friction shocks on the front and all that stuff. No shocks. I mean, they're shocks, but and that's an old Model A axle that was built for a gasser.
I like the dice made into the
Yeah,
shackles.
right into the shackles. That's the way they came.
Yeah, that's pretty neat.
Yeah. I'd like to find some bigger headlights like off a AA Ford truck.
Yeah.
Those big 9-inch front headlights.
Yeah, I think we was talking about that when you sent me the pictures of your grill.
Yeah.
And then I sent you the pictures that I took at Iowa. There was a vehicle there that had huge headlights on. I was like, man, I like that look for some
The
reason.
Ford truck had those great big headlights.
Yeah.
Let me see if it'll run.
That would look cool, but they're kind of pricey for me.
They are. They're expensive. But what ain't,
Yeah, that's true.
It's a little noisy. There's no muffler.
I would imagine.
at all.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of cars in my day, Ron, but I've never had one that made me feel like a badass.
Yeah. At idle, it sounds kind of like a hopped up Harley.
Yeah.
This is with that exhaust. It's not just an exhaust you hear, you feel it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, consequently, if I want to go to a swamp and still be able to talk to people,
Yep.
these are 30 decibel shooter's muffs. And I wear these going down the highway so I don't have to yell at everybody when I get there.
He said muffs.
It's a nice old car. Been around a long time. Like I
And
said, a fellow in Indianola first, or in Illinois, built it first.
how long you had this one?
3-4 years. Yeah. When I got it, it was all black. Wasn't finished or nothing.
Handle pretty good.
Yeah, I wouldn't let go of the wheel to 100, but you can, just
That's-
drive it like that. Put your fingers in it and just drive it.
And this was the one you said earlier you were going to take to the drag strip and
Yep.
just
I want to take it
see
down,
what
test
it'll do.
it, just see how fast it is, how quick it is. It's got a 8x8, 8.8 Ford in the back,
okay.
so it's not a 9-inch. It's a little newer than that.
Nothing wrong with the 8.8.
They're good, they're good little rear ends,
Yeah.
and it's quite comfortable to ride in. But if you're a little bit claustrophobic, you probably won't like it very much. And people say, "Well, I bet it's loud." Oh, yes, loud. I bet it rides like hell. Oh, it does. And them seats don't look very thick. Oh, they're not.
But it's cool as fuck.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't drive a car like this. Well, you better keep driving your wife's car.
Yeah. What size are the rear tires? Guess I could have looked. 10 by 15, is that what I'm seeing?
Yep, Mickey Thompson. These are reproduction AC Cobra wheels
Ah.
with the knockoff and everything. Those were not cheap. The tires are $400 each. So, or from Razor. Those were made by Razor. The same company made the front wheels. And they're not DOT, but as long as the guy keeps his nose pretty clean,
Yeah.
you stay out of the courthouse yard with it and don't go sideways down the loop. They just kind of turn their head and look the other way like you weren't there.
For now.
Yeah. Because, no fenders, no wipers, no nothing. It does have a horn, it does have turn signals, but I try not to use either one of them. So this is a really period correct car. Some guys call it a hot rod and some guys call it a rat, and I don't really care. It's mine. It's just my car.
I don't know. I think it's more of a hot rod than a rat.
I do too. Now when I got it and it was flat black, it was more rat rod.
Yeah.
But, it doesn't have steel wheels on it or any of that. It's got a lot of chrome and a lot of
Yeah.
fancy stuff and aluminum heads. And, it doesn't have old Strombergs on it or nothing. So it's a little more modernized.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd call it more hot rod than rat rod.
And it's really fast to drive. I shifted at 6,500, got the rev box set at 67, and it ain't even close to done, but you know, I don't want to ventilate the oil pan either.
Yeah.
What do you suppose it weighs?
I've never scaled it, but I'm going to guess in the low 2s. You know, there's not a lot to it, but that's a really thick old body. Those cars were, you know, you climb up on the roof and just sit down, because that's how tough they were.
But you're still not going to let somebody do it.
Unless she's really hot. You know, she ain't got much on, she's really hot. Then maybe once. And don't let my wife see that. She would not be very proud of me saying that.
I can edit that out.
Yeah, okay.
I can,
Will
but,
you?
but I won't.
That's right. Because that's what friends do. Yeah. But this is really a lot of fun, and I've always wanted either a little coupe or a little cut-down sedan, and this was kind of in between both of them, so it fit my criteria. So I'll probably have this in a long time. I'm still yet to do the insides in it, but it's going to be black tweed, or black tuck and roll. But my son had a shoebox, and he found a fleece bed cover that was Marilyn Monroe's face. And he glued it to a piece of plywood and put it in the headliner in his shoebox. So when you got it in the car, here's this white fleece blanket with Marilyn's face about 2 feet across, right over your head. And I thought that was the neatest thing ever, so I'm going to swipe that idea and do it inside this.
Yeah.
Do you want to see the Dodge and the motorcycle and all that?
The motorcycle is what we're really here for.
Okay.
I figured people need to see this bike, but we'll take a look at the Dodge first.
This I bought off second owner, and I love the patina on it. You can see where the pink is starting to show through on the primer. The paint is so thin. It's
Oh yeah, I see what you mean right here on the bedside.
Perfect. Yeah, you can't fake that. Yeah. And then the hood's all sunburned. It's got the nice little 318, just runs like a top. But I put hoses and belts. And I bought a new carburetor for it, a big battery and all that stuff. And I was going to buy some new 16-inch tires and put back on. Somebody got rid of the split rims and put just regular 16s on it. Mm-hmm. And I got to surfing around on Marketplace, and this young man up to Carlisle had a brand new 21 4-wheel 3/4, and he bought those great big wide blingy with the short tires on it for his big Dodge, and put those on there for $200 more than what 4 new tires was going to cost him. Well, the choice was made.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's a no-brainer.
That was easy. I've got these beautiful wheels and spent $200 more than the 4 new tires, and those don't have 20,000 miles on them. The only thing I had to put an 1.5 inch spacer because that's an 11-inch wide rim with 9 inches of backspin. It's no cream puff by any means.
Okay, so tell us about that shifter on the dash.
Isn't that unusual? They used them in motorhomes and vans.
Ow, that door's hot.
I bet it is. And some of these Dodge pickups, when they rarely came with an automatic, got that shifter. Which, once you get used to it, it's fine. But
Yeah.
it is the dumbest thing I ever saw to put that in a pickup truck. And the box on it is 8'3". They couldn't make just an 8-foot box. It's 8'3". There again, what in the world were they thinking?
It's amazing when you look at one of these old trucks and how basic they are inside and compare it to newer stuff over
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Heated seats and all that.
Yeah.
Air conditioned glove box.
Well, look at the radio. I'm pretty sure that didn't come out. That's right out of a tractor.
Yeah.
Somebody just screwed it right to the dash and hooked it up. I don't think it ever had a radio in it.
Yeah, you can even see the heater housing in there.
Yep. And this complicated latch system for the glove compartment.
And you can't even lock it.
Nope.
Oh, barbaric.
Yes. How did they survive?
Yeah.
But I love the chunkiness of it. You know, like these patches. I was going to take them off and make new ones, and I thought, I can't fake that.
It kind of adds a little character.
Yeah, so I drilled out the old rivets that were broken and put new ones in it and left it like that. It came with this bumper because it's never, all it did was pull wagons.
BSA.
Yeah. Late 60s engine, and the 2 frames that are on it are late 60s. The front wheel's Harley.
All right, this is the creme de la creme of what we're here for.
All those
This thing.
BSA engines. Wow. Cylinders and stuff are back over there.
When he showed me this last year, I figured the public needs to know about this thing.
It's pure insanity.
It is.
It's very heavy, and of course it's a hardtail. That chain on the back tire is right off the drive system on a combine. and it's all been hand assembled, you don't get close to it. You don't even let it roll up on your shoe. The bike is really heavy and really clumsy, but they were really, really fast. And they got to calling them outlaws because most of the insurance company wouldn't let them race them at the hill climbs anymore because so many people were injured trying to ride them. But you know, in WW2, when them boys came back, and the boys came back from Korea, they weren't afraid of God or nobody.
No, not after what they'd been through.
They had hurt ear died every day.
Yeah.
And they were building some of the craziest stuff and riding these things just flat wide open. And that's the way this was designed to be ridden. It's geared to where you use nothing but high gear in it because the transmission wouldn't stand two engines on one transmission. So you put it right up in high gear so it was direct drive straight through. So you roll the throttle all the way open and then ease the clutch out and hope you made it to the top. And if you didn't, you let go of the throttle and all of you come back down the hill, which happened more often than not.
And I've seen a Norton, 2-engine Norton drag bike.
Mm-hmm.
That was cool.
Yep.
And they
That'd
basically,
be better to ride than this.
yeah, they basically coupled them the same way.
Mm-hmm. So when you
That is
build
cool.
these, the engine in the front is higher and it's over to one side. The reason it's higher so the carburetors won't run right into the exhaust pipes on the second one. And then of course you have to offset it so the hubs
Yeah.
line up.
So you can,
Because the back engine has two chain hubs on it instead of one. So you come over 1.5 inches and then you tip the front engine. And all that had to be engineered and figured when they built it.
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm picking it up about the offset in there, but you can definitely see it. Yeah, the carburetor's so close.
Yeah, very close.
Yep.
But yeah, the front engine is over. So you see that outside chain? That chain used to run the clutch on the front engine.
Yeah.
The front engine's been, the transmission sawed off.
Yep,
And
it's locked the whole
BSAs are
thing off.
beautiful. They run a separate loop system for the tranny and the engine. So you could get away with this. They were totally unique. You just
Yeah,
set
that I
up.
didn't know.
Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So you run a dry sump oil system like a race car, and then the lines come back, and you end up with 2 oil lines that come back an innie and an outie, and they come up here and you put a big oil tank for both engines. I have the oil tank, but I haven't got it on.
So what time frame era would this thing have been run
Oh,
in
these
its
were
heyday?
From middle 60s to middle 70s till they outlawed them and decided that was enough. And I think over there by Dubuque, where they play every year, shoot, I can't think of the name of that hill climb they have over there. I think they still allow some of them to run, but it's all the old guys run them, and they're not going to run them like they used to. Because honestly, the big 4-cylinder Japanese engines will destroy one of them. Just run off and eat it. And they have suspension on them, you know, with the 4-foot swing arm.
Yeah.
They handle the bumps and the jumps. And they'll run big nitro in them. This bike is set up for alcohol, but the guy I got all the stuff from built a single engine Triumph and had the big swing arm, and he ran 95% nitro in his. And, well, he used BSAs too. And the problem with them was they could handle it. You can bore the 650s up to an 860. So you can put 2 860s on there.
So what are these?
Those are both stock 650s. Completely stock.
Oh,
But here's what
I
happens.
guess I was mistaken. I thought you said these were set up to run on alcohol or something.
They could be. They
Okay.
could run either way. But what happens is when you leave the gas turned on, nitro gets down past the rings into the crankcase, and the next time you go to start it up, there's a big old belly full of nitro on the bottom under the pistons. And this is what happens when you try to restart it.
Lots of excitement.
Yeah, they just grenade. Nobody gets hurt. It all goes out the front, but it destroys it. So now they're around the front. These are all, you know, that's the case. This one's complete. Just the cylinders are gone. I've got heads and carburetors and clutches and more gears, stuff like that.
Now, if I remember right, you said you never had any intention of riding this.
No, I'm
You
way
just
too
wanted
old.
just to have it.
And honestly, those guys back in those days were at least twice as strong as I am. And half as, you know, I'm half as crazy as they were. They weren't afraid of nothing.
Yeah.
And those guys were so powerful that they would just roll the throttle on and let them eat. And I have been broken to pieces too many times to risk doing it again. So I'm not gonna ride it. I built an old 58 Cadillac rat rod that was scalloped and slammed and white walled and all that stuff. And I built a little trailer, which is laying back there. And I pulled this behind the Cadillac and we'd go to shows, but the last couple of years, there's been pretty much no shows because of COVID. So I sold the Cadillac to a kid in Unionville, Missouri, and he's just having a ball with it, but now it just sits. But I'm really looking to build another rat, you know, and when I do, then this will come back out and it'll go on the little trailer I made for it. It's got old Chevy pickup fenders on it. It's just off the ground, you know, and the tires are clear up in the fenders as far as they'll go.
Yeah, by the description, it doesn't sound very cool, but to see it, it's...
Oh, it's sitting right over here. I'll show you. First thing you gotta do is get on and ride it.
Okay.
And keep your camera going.
Is it ready to go?
Well, you get
I
down.
don't have to
get
power it
set,
up, or...
reach down, pull your feet up. You know, it's a regular recliner. Okay, lean yourself back. All right, push the green button. You're powered up. It's just like this. You push it that way, it goes that way. You push it to the left, it goes to the left.
Seems kind of tipsy.
The more you push it, the faster it goes.
Well, of course. It makes no noise. There's not even a whir. It's absolutely silent. Hup, hup. What's the dial on the back?
Speed. See, it's turned clear to the right.
Yeah, it's turned all the way up.
Go. When I put my granddaughters on, I turn that back about halfway.
I figured there'd at least be a little whir to it or something, but it's absolutely silent.
It's beautiful. And I've got an inverter on it, so you can see I've had Christmas lights all over it. And we run it in the lighted parades. There you go. And we'll turn the power back off. Or you did.
I think I hit it.
Yep, it's going. I saw one of those on the net and helped a widow get rid of her husband's collectible cars. So she made me a tremendous deal on one. She had 3 of them. They'd taken them to State Fair every
Just
year.
the scooter.
Just a little scooter.
And then you put it on the
And
chair.
I didn't cut any of the suspension up or nothing. I just removed the fiberglass top and the seat, hovered that back over it, and then put wooden 4x4s in there to hold the seat up off so I could keep the recliner part of it, so the foot would come up and all that. Otherwise, if I'd put it down lower, I'd have had to immobilize all that.
That'd be pretty good for walking around those big swap meets.
Yeah.
Except they're usually in the summer and you'd just be laying in a sweat-soaked chair.
Take that to the fair. Take it to the lake. Wouldn't that look great with a couple of girls in bikinis just laughing their ass off riding around there?
With me in there with them.
Yeah, you in the middle. So when I got this, it was at least 10 feet longer than this. And it's got coil springs in it.
Was the-
So I shortened it clear up to where it would carry the motorcycle. So you can see here where I've got a rack I made where the front wheel rolled up in.
Yeah.
And it held it there, but since I haven't pulled it, I put these boards on here and it carries my golf cart.
Well, I think we've seen everything here.
Yeah, I've done as much showing off as I can.
Thanks for having us.
Yes.
You guys gonna make a deal on carburetors, or?
Well, think about it. You may find a better deal somewhere and you may not. But
You.
Ron's got my phone number, so you can call me if you want.
On that, is it ladder bar or 4-link or what is it on the back?
It's actually a ladder bar, but it's heimed, and it comes off like a ladder, but they come together and mount on one bolt. So it's a ladder bar, but it's made out of tube that goes underneath there. And then those are the fully adjustable Carreras. Yeah, this has got that single bar that goes.
Yeah, it's kind of like a ladder bar, but yeah, it's mounted underneath the axle.
From suspension to suspension. It doesn't come from the frame down to the rear end. Oh, yeah.
Well, I think this about wraps it up. Thanks for watching. Thanks for coming along, and go out and get yourself a project and have some fun, just like we do.